The first issue that I think everyone faces, maybe we less than others because we are pretty fortunate, is that there is a concentration of wealth and economic inequality. And if you are not sure about this, you can just look at some basic statistics. For instance, those that show that about 1% of the population own about 46% of the wealth in the planet, whereas about 55% of the population own about 1.3% of the wealth. And the situation is getting worse and worse. For instance, in 2009, you had to have 380 billionaires to have the wealth of half of the population on this planet. A decade later, this number got down to 26 billionaires. And just to give you an example, in the United States, 3 individuals own more than half of the population. So this is quite striking. And what you see is that over the past decades, the wealthy became wealthier. This is just 0.01% of the richest people on the planet. They increased their wealth from 2% to about 10%, but their tax contributions increased only by half of this. So this suggests that not only that the wealthy become wealthier, but their contributions economically to society become lower. And this is not only their fault, this is also the fault of the governments that shift the tax burden from corporations to families, and within that they reduce the burden on the top earners. And just another example, if in the mid-60s the top 1% and the bottom 90% of the population had about a third of the wealth each. If you move forward to our days, then the top 1% have increased their share to 40%, the bottom 9% reduced their share to about 20%. In the United States, this is even more striking. You can see the shift over the past decades where the rich become richer, the poor become poorer. And part of this is because also of income inequality. So the question is, what can we do about this? There are many solutions, none of them is effective. So the obvious one is progressive taxation, that just have the rich people pay more taxes. And the issue is that, as I mentioned, the trend is the opposite. We see more regressive taxation. The rich are very effective in avoiding taxes. So just the big tech firms, I think they managed to avoid about $150 billion in taxes in the past decade using a very sophisticated accounting. So if you put more tax burden on them, they will not make less effort to avoid it. So that's not really promising. And besides, there is impact of the wealthy on government policies. There is recent research showing that if a policy serves the public, it has a very low chance of getting approved. But if it serves those with power and wealth, then it has a much higher proportion of approval. The other suggestions are public services. These programs are providing some remedies, but they are not improving the situation of those that are unfortunate. They just make them more dependent. And policies that were trying to offer a minimum wage level have failed in those countries where they were attempted. There was the hope that technology will relieve employees, offering them more opportunities for leisure, for earning, but actually those who benefit from that are the capital owners, and these technologies are just replacing the poor employees. Other approaches are to strengthen the labor unions, to give them more power, but what we observe in reality is just the opposite. In the past decades, the unions become weaker, the employment market becomes more flexible, and there are less unionized employees, so this is not the solution. So it's very clear what needs to be done. There are a lot of reports offering insights into macroeconomic policies, but apparently these are misaligned with the interests of governments, and they are not that popular, so they are not being implemented.